So as you can see, these ones we're in the sun right now, so they are not clear, and they're completely clear because they're not in the sun. So as soon as you go out to the sun, they start getting dark, and that is really interesting. So I will explain you more about this product, but the first thing that I wanted to tell you is a little story about myself and how I got involved into tennis. Because I find it really interesting to see that for me, this journey about strings and stringing and else started with a young kid that started playing tennis at the age of 12. Before that, I didn't like tennis. I hated tennis because all my family played tennis and I was only into football or soccer, right? Because soccer was the best game in the world. But then when I discovered tennis, I discovered something really interesting. I don't know if many of you felt a little bit lost in the teenagers, you know, like when we were like 12, 13, and life was a little bit strange on us, you know, like not really what we wanted. So when I discovered tennis, then my mind got completely focused. And this was really interesting because, of course, when I became a father, by that time I stopped playing tennis. I dedicated my life to photography and art, and so I was traveling around the world and mounting exhibitions and all that, and I really love photography still. But when I became a father, I said, I think that if I help my son to grow through tennis, he's also going to focus on something better than any other thing that you can find in the world. And this was really interesting because I started playing tournaments again at the age of 33. I opened a pro shop and we were in Mexico. So I wanted you to know that in Mexico, you could not find good strings 15 years ago or 16 years ago when I opened this store. So there was a brand name, I forgot the name, but it was like a really bad brand that came from Taiwan. The hardest thing that you could imagine that you could use, stiffest as hell. So people were like really getting injured with that, and I was like, why is people using it? And it was because the coaches were recommending them, you know, and nobody wanted to pay the price for Loxolon or Pavola because that was too expensive. Now I want you to know that even if Mexico has changed it in the 15 last years, because we have now more strings and L's, we are still charging about $3 to $4 for a string job, which is ridiculous, you know, because I mean, if you buy a good machine, $4 for a string job. Now, when I opened my store, of course, I was not the distributor for any string brand, but I decided that we needed to change this. So the good thing is that Genesis offered me a great opportunity to be their distributors in Mexico. And actually I got through them because another brand, I wrote to them if I wanted to be their distributors. So they told me my distributors in America are actually the guys from Genesis. So I started distributing Genesis with like 5 different brands, including Polystar, you know. So we really had a lot of great Polystar strings and Polyfiber, Topspin, and else. But along with these ones, Genesis was one of the ones that we were carrying. The good thing is that Genesis offered me the opportunity to sponsor players. And that was, from my point of view, the best thing I could do, you know, because as a player myself, I know how much we struggle sometimes with money. Not always is easy, you know, to be traveling around and then playing qual in the future and then losing in the last round. You don't even make any money. You've already spent $500, $700 to go there. So by having the opportunity to sponsor players, I became a really happy businessman, because when I was young, you know, like Head used to sponsor me or any other brand, and that was really great and nice for me, you know. So when I became a businessman and I was able to sponsor other players, I really enjoyed that because I felt that I was giving back to the world of tennis what they gave me before, right? Now, 8 years passed, and then I became the distributor for Signal Pro in Mexico, and eventually I had the opportunity to become the distributor for Signal Pro in the US. Now, Signal Pro was like a higher level brand compared to Genesis in that moment, and it was really interesting because I went to Tennis Warehouse and I told them, hey, we would like to make a Tennis Warehouse exclusive string for you with Signal Pro. And because I became really good friends with the guy that was taking care of projects like these, he said, okay, I don't think this is possible. You would have to make the best tennis string in the world for us to make it a Tennis Warehouse exclusive. So I only heard that if we made the best tennis string in the world, they would make it a Tennis Warehouse exclusive. So I called the owner of Signum Pro and I told him, hey, if we make the best tennis string in the world, they will make it a Tennis Warehouse exclusive. And he said, they actually said that? That's what they said. So I started working with the owner of Signum Pro to develop a new string that would be, hopefully, the very best tennis string in the world. Of course, he has a lot of experience developing strings, so we started working on it. Of course, testing a lot of different prototypes. Some of them were good, some of them were not that good. And we just kept on trying to look for the perfect string, you know, some string that would have great power, spin, control, but as well that it wouldn't be that harsh in the arm. We needed tension holding as well, because tension holding in many strings that are soft is really bad. So we worked on these, and eventually we came out with a really good string. So I sent it to Tennis Warehouse, and then this guy, Graham Bilsoak, he was the manager for sales, or no, for purchases. He calls me and he says, please tell me about these strings that you're sending me. And I tell him, well, you told me that if we make the best tennis string in the world, that you'll make it a Tennis Warehouse exclusive. And he was like, I said that? Well, that's what you told me. He said, okay, let's not go ahead. Let me give it to the playtest team, you know? So he gave it to them, and then we met at Indian Wells, and he said, my playtest team want to meet you because they are all loving your string. They are all coming back to me saying, what's this? This string is so good. So, I mean, I was happy because we're actually getting somewhere, right? I went to Tennis Warehouse in San Luis Obispo, and I had a great meeting with all the team, and that was amazing for me, you know, because for me, you know, being there, it was like big leagues, you know, when I was like a little player. And they loved it, and that string became a Tennis Warehouse exclusive, and actually they named it. They called it Yellow Jacket, because Yellow Jacket is this little wasp that sticks really bad. So they said this was a really good string, you know. And it became a Tennis Warehouse exclusive like for 4 years. Now we sell it as well, because the exclusivity contract is over. But that was the beginning of me understanding how to develop a string, because I think that's far more important than just selling whatever the factory sells to you, right? Now, what happened after that is that the guy from Genesis calls me and he says, hey, I want you to come here to Miami, we need to meet. And I thought personally that because I was so involved now into Signum Pro in the US, that he was going to tell me, hey, I'm taking off the distribution for you in Mexico because, I mean, you're actually really putting much more attention into something else. But he sit me down and he said, you're doing amazing. I see what you're doing, and I believe that you're the right guy for me to sell you the company. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, why would you sell a company that is doing really good? Because he showed me the numbers, and the numbers were amazing. And he said, because there was a crisis, a real estate crisis in the US, like in 2010 or 2008. So all the money that he made with Genesis, he used to buy real estate. And he buy real estate at $20,000 that now they were worth $300,000, you know? So he made so much money with that he said, I don't need to work anymore. And this company needs someone completely committed that will actually work a lot in it. And I was like, that sounds amazing. So I went back to Mexico thinking, it's impossible. All the money that I had, I invested it in Signum Pro. I didn't have a time to buy or to pay the amount that he was requesting. So it was really interesting because I was having a dream one day. And then in this dream, I listened like a phrase in my mind saying, nothing is impossible. So I woke up with nothing is impossible. So I said, I mean, I don't have the money, but maybe nothing is impossible. So I called this guy and I told him, look, I know that your competition is about to pay you what you want. But your competition has been screwing with you and taking away your salesman and doing really nasty things to you. You're gonna lose your company for that. So I gave him a deal that he could not refuse. I learned this from The Godfather, a deal that he cannot refuse. Of course, I didn't kill him, but I told him.
You put the horse's head in the bed.
Exactly. Well, no, I told him, look, first you said that if Tennis Warehouse sells your string, your brand goes up higher because right now Tennis Warehouse is not selling it, so your brand is not that recognized. I will get the brand to be sold at Tennis Warehouse. Second, you keep 25% of the business, and I will pay you the amount that you requested, but I'll pay it working. So I'll pay it within 1 year. If the numbers that you showed me are right, I'll be able to pay you within 1 year. So we made a deal. How I made it, I don't know. How he accepted, I don't know, but we were able to do it. Now, when I got the company, of course, I was worried, because I didn't know what was going to happen. But the only thing that I knew is that now I had the wheels or the hands on the wheels, so I could actually drive the company to wherever I wanted to. And the first thing that I wanted to do after doing the thing with Sigma Pro is to develop strings. Because playing tennis is the thing that I enjoy the most. Being in the tennis court is the thing that brings me more pleasure to life. And I think one of the most important things in life is to have or get as much pleasure as possible, right? So, if you have a better string that helps you achieve better results in the tennis court and helps you play better and feel the ball better, then you have more pleasure, but also anyone that is play testing or using the string as well is going to have more pleasure or better results than else. So I started working not only with one company, with one factory, but with 3 different factories around the world. And I told them, I don't want the strings that you already created for other companies or that you're already selling us. We want to create new strings. So we took the strings that I thought were not the best strings in Genesis, and I took them off the market. That got a little bit of people upset because they loved it, but the string wasn't really good, just that they loved them. And we started working into creating better quality strings. What was really interesting was the first one that we created, which was Hexonic Power. So after 1 year developing it, we finally got it, a string that had everything from my point of view. But it was only my point of view. So I loved it. We sent it to a lot of universities. They loved it. They started using it. Our distributors, everybody loved it. But it was just my point of view at that moment that the string was really good, And then one of our friends from Romania, that he knows him, Florin, right?
Yeah.
He sent the samples, he sent a few samples to Racketpedia. That time I didn't know anyone from Racketpedia, I just met them last year. And then the ratings come out and they called me and they said, how did you do this? This string has the best ratings we have ever got for a copolyester given. It had 100 in spin, 100 in control, like 80 in power, but the tension holding was 100, 95 in stability. Comfort level was the same as almost all the other polyester strings. I mean, usually you won't get that much comfort, but still the numbers were amazing in Hexonic Power 123, okay? So that was really good because then a lot of people started calling me from Europe and other countries like, we want to be your distributor. So we opened the market even bigger, which was really, really nice. But then also we were developing strings in other factories at the same time. So in Germany, 1 year after, we were able to make a string that had amazing durability. And this was really important because while I was playing the futures, of course there's guys in the futures that have a lot of money, but there are other guys that don't have much money, And for them to be restringing 2-3 times a day cost a lot of money, not only for the string, but also for the string job, right? Now, the interesting part here is that I played one tournament with one of my friends from Argentina. We played the doubles tournament and we got to the finals, which was really good. And I told him, look, you have to use this string, try it. And he told me, look, I cannot try it and I won't use it for one simple reason. When you go in Argentina to a tennis store, you're gonna see a poster of me saying Solinko. You know, so he said, at the face of Solinco in Argentina, I'm actually not going to change, you know, it's impossible. So I told him, don't worry, but we're friends. Just try it out and let me know what you think. So he went back to Cancun because the futures were being at Cancun. He calls me on Wednesday. He said, I don't know what you gave me, but I haven't breaking. I put it on Monday. I usually break 2 strings a day. So I put it on Monday and it's Tuesday, Wednesday, the string is perfect. And it's not even that worn out. So I told him, I told you, you know, like we did something really quite extraordinary here. So he says, okay, I'll keep on testing it, you know. He calls me on Friday. I just broke it. I'm changing to Genesis now. I'm Genesis team. So that was a really interesting thing because this is a guy that had been using Solinco since he was 14 or 13. And now he was 25 changing to our strings just because of the durability. The good thing is that he also told his friends, and now we have a lot of his friends using this string specifically for this. Even Fede Ceballos, he's a doubles player. And one time he won a challenger tournament in doubles because he's a doubles player. And he called me, he said, Richard, I put your string before the first match. I didn't break it, and I won the tournament. And the tension is still great, and the string is still great. So that's the style of ideas that we have about developing strings. We really want to make something that is really quite extraordinary. But I also know that not everyone wants a string that is that durable. So then we also went to another factory and we made a string that is softer in the arm, softer for the stringer, but as well, we put a material in this one that had never been used in tennis. And I really like this because this material doesn't really get hot, not with the sun or with the friction of the ball. So
it doesn't burn so much.
The interesting part of this is that many strings have like Teflon in the outside for the snapback to be good, right? This one doesn't need that because the material that we put in, it's immersed in all the string. And the snapback keeps on being great since stroke number 1 until it breaks. And it's really interesting because eventually some brands came to me and they said, we're really loving your string. Can you develop strings for us? And then we had certain formulas that we did along the way. And now there's other brands using our strings, and now we're getting popular just because of that, you know? So when I see that certain player reaches the final of an ATP or WTA tournaments using our strings, I get really happy because nobody knows those are the strings that we developed, but I am really happy that I'm the one that developed them and now selling those strings to these brands, right? Now, I wanted to see that we also changed the packing, okay? The packing before was just the real, like all the other brands, right? But we changed the packing because we wanted to make people notice that there's a difference between what we deliver and the other companies, okay? I want you to know the most important reason why for me buying Genesis was imperative, more than any other reason in the world, okay? So you can see the logo here, that it's 2 half circles and then a line crossing it, right? I mean, I don't know if you all can see it. If you want to pass it, probably everyone can see it.
Are they all the same? Or?
Yes. Well, different rails, but all you can see the logo. So
It's okay.
I want you to know what's the logo about and what's the reason why for me Genesis was so important. It actually is something that I believe in. The logo is 2 half circles, and they are apart, but the 2 half circles signify the world. So meaning that the world is not united. And you know why the world is apart? Because there is war in the world, and there's different ideologies, and different religions, and different beliefs, and different opinions, you know? So you can see that in the world there's a lot of different people that think different, that believe in different things, but still, there's a line that unites these two half circles. And this line is actually tennis, meaning that the logo of Genesis means the world united through tennis. Okay, so it is really interesting because at the end of the day, it's kind of like a philosophy as well for me, you know, and I love believing in something that I sell. Not only selling it because it's the most known product or because it's easier to get, right?
The packaging is completely different from other, is it so it stands out from the competition, or is it to protect against light or anything like that?
As well, it has the two functions because some other companies have a similar packing, but it's transparent. So the problem is with the transparent, let's say you put it in your wall and the sun gets in, it does burn the string, you know, but also that packing, that translucent, is not protecting against the heat or the humidity or anything else. So this one completely protects the string from anything. Almost from heating as well, but sometimes we have seen rails that get heat and they do broke a little bit. But still, it's I think the packaging is really nice, and it talks a little bit about what we believe in. Now, after the strings, developing the strings, we started developing sunglasses. But what's the reason for this? I was in Cancun, playing in the futures, and I saw all these guys training with the sun like this, but they had their eyes almost completely closed because, you know, the sun was really strong. So I decided that we needed to create sunglasses that would fit for playing tennis. It took us 5 years to make something that was really worth it because we made good models, but they had issues, you know, like all the ones that have like a frame here, you know what's the problem with them? That when you start sweating and it's hot, they get foggy inside. So you can't really see really good. So I requested the designer to make sunglasses that would let the air go through, you know? So we did a lot of different experiments. We did little holes in them and else, and they were good. But this is the final of that road that I think it was really interesting. With no frame, there goes through so easily, and that's amazing, you know. And you don't have anything in your way when you put them on. You can have a really wide range of vision.
It doesn't restrict your vision.
What?
It doesn't restrict your vision.
Exactly. You have the entire vision because some people with the sunglasses, when they toss the ball, they kind of see the frame of the sunglass. With this one, you don't have any frame. So that makes it so interesting. Of course, the other thing is that I want you to know, not all tennis players are enjoying to use sunglasses, but we're selling it so much for padel and pickleball. Because in these sports, it's more often that the ball hits your eyes, and some of them have issues with that. So with these ones, these are unbreakable, or of course they can break, but in a way that will never affect your eyes. But it has to be like a really bad thing for them to break, but not a pickleball, you know, like they can hit you with a pickleball and they won't break. And that makes them really interesting because a lot of people got injured in their eyes with that, including Eugene Bouchard. Eugene Bouchard had a red eye just because of that. Of course, after doing the sunglasses for sports, we decided to go a little bit stylish as well. Now, the interesting part of the stylish ones, the lifestyle ones, is that they were made with a specific polarization that helps you see the ball better against the background. Because when I was watching the matches on TV, you see all these people in the stands, watching the players with their sunglasses. So we decided to make a really neat sunglass that would be good for tennis as well. So many coaches as well, they're not in the court playing tennis, they're in the court watching their students, so they can wear really nice sunglasses that will actually help them see the ball better. Now, I want you to know that the reason that I'm here, the real reason, is because we're looking for more distributors around the world. We have a good amount of distributors in certain countries like UK, we have in Italy, we have, South Korea, we have an amazing distributor, but we are missing some countries and we would like to have more interest in our brand or more reach in our brand. So whomever is interested in something like this, we have really competitive prices, but we also help you in many different things from sponsorships to send you samples and else. And I think that would be really amazing or really interesting. So whomever is interested in something like that, it would be a pleasure to have you in. I want you to know just a little thing. We're not that big brand. We do not have that big pocket like Head or Wilson or else, right? But we have a decent amount of customers and a decent amount of distributors. But when I think how little we are compared to the big brands, I only think of one little thing. Christianity started with only 12 customers. And now you see how much they grow, right? So I think that just one at a time, doing it the best possible and trying to reach each heart at a time, you know, that would be really interesting for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.